Hello everybody, and welcome back to My Janky Filming Setup, the show where all of my miking equipment is here in frame. No, just kidding, of course. This is Mountain Computers, and my apologies for the kind of janky filming setup with the microphone completely in frame. I figured it could potentially give us a lot better audio here on this video, something that I feel like my videos have been lacking for a while. Not to say that this one will be good, but it should hopefully be much better. We'll see. So also, an apology goes out for my hair being so long, which is a little bit abnormal, but I haven't been able to get in to get a haircut recently, so it'll have to do. Today I am going to be working on a computer. Surprise, I get around to that once in a while on this channel. Today I'm doing a build with some, but not all, reused parts. This is a case which some of you may notice used to be my server case. I actually have changed my server around completely, pretty much, since the last video that I made on that topic, and I'll make a video on that soon-ish, hopefully, but you know, on this channel, soon probably will mean a couple months. We'll see when I get around to it. But also, we have an old Mac hard drive that I've just had sitting around for a while, a solid-state drive to boot up on that I have had around for a while, a Dell Precision T1500 motherboard with a Cooler Master, is it a Hyper T2? It's one of the T2 model coolers on it, with an i3 530 processor, which used to power my music production PC for a little while. I upgraded the CPU in that for a while, while still maintaining this motherboard as the motherboard, and well, now it's a completely different platform. I gave that CPU, the upgraded one, which was an i5 760, to a friend for a computer that he was building for his mother, and so today I'm back with this for this project. I've also got, in some other standard fare things, some memory, which same said friend gave back to me since I gave him the slightly more memory that I was using in the music production PC build, but I've upgraded that to a completely new platform which no longer uses DDR3, so he gave me what was left in his system so that I could put it in this board. There's also an SSD in here, but that's unrelated to this project. Yes, this is how he packaged it, not me. That is duct tape and some bubble wrap, and I really hope that the DIMMs are okay. Hopefully this is anti-static. Or hopefully it just hasn't killed the DIMMs. We'll see. This is a GTX 1650, a graphics card which I had been using in the music production PC for a while. That now has a GTX 1070 Ti in it, since my main rig actually got upgraded away from that graphics card onto an RTX 2070. So now this is freed up to go into this build. I got a new power supply, which same friend again picked up for me, and this wasn't super easy to get a hold of right now. He went down to the Micro Center, and it was basically as a only 80 plus rated unit, not bronze or any metal specialty. It was $60, whereas I think these would normally go for like $25 to $40 before this whole disease explosion, I guess, that we're having globally right now. So yeah, there's a power supply shortage, which I think a few YouTubers have covered already. I know Steve from Gamers Nexus did a pretty deep dive into that. It's a good video. If you happen to have seen that or heard about it, go check it out. It's pretty cool. I mean, as cool as something like that can be, anyway. So yeah, thank you to my friend for getting this for me at such short notice too, because yeah, it was it's kind of a pain to get hold of. They had some other power supplies there. They had one the previous day, which was a little bit smaller, not actually built for this case, but you'll see maybe in a little while why I actually might have wanted something smaller, because it's going to take something that I was going to do and kind of flip it around, unfortunately. But I think it'll work. We'll see. We'll see. I still have to test fit this power supply and make sure that what I wanted to do won't work originally. But then, besides that, moving on from the power supply, there's also a Wi-Fi adapter, because this isn't going to be a machine that I'm regularly going to have plugged in to my main networking stack, and I've just dropped it on the floor. Oh well. And then we come to the kind of weirder components, where I get down to more about what the use case for this machine is. So, what I want this to be is a kind of LAN party-ish PC build, something that is really easy to take with me, but that also doubles as a home theater PC, so I can just have it hooked up to my TV in the living room. I used to have the option to do that when I was in college with my server and use the server that way, but the server is, spoiler, now rack-mounted and is downstairs in this office space that I have, which is really just a bedroom, but I repurpose as an office. And the actual TV setup stuff, my home theater system, is upstairs in the living room, as you might expect. So a little bit tough to have connectivity for that kind of thing between the two spaces. So yeah, this will be going up there, and then if I'm going on a trip to go see someone or, you know, anything like that, I want to be able to bring this system with me. I've got a lot nicer laptop now, but it still seems to, you know, hitch a little bit in some games, and I'm wondering whether this won't fix that or not. But one way or another, this will provide me a platform for a lot more expandability than what a laptop will anyway. So I just kind of want to have it around. It makes for a good use case for the home theater PC too. So let's get into those other components, the weirder ones. Stuff you wouldn't normally find. This is a guitar amplifier handle, which I plan to mount onto this case somewhere. I don't know yet. It could go on top if I can manage to figure out a way to mount it there with the power supply still being in place, but I'm a little bit worried about that. We'll see how that goes, because my plan is to use these little wooden blocks cut up into pieces to be able to take these screws and these screws, turn them around so you can see them. These screws and you know, drill through the case and be able to hit one of these to keep the handle in place. But if there's a power supply sitting right here, there's not really any room to put wood there. So yeah, just looking at the dimensions here, I think there's a pretty good chance, and I mean a very good chance, that I won't be able to mount this on the top of the case. So I have planned for that a little bit. Since the power supply is top mounted in this case, unfortunately, I wish it were on the bottom. That would free up this whole issue to be solved, but I think I'm going to actually mount the handle to the bottom of the case. That's my plan. Hopefully that works. So yeah, you saw a few of the different components there for that. And then the other thing that's going to make this a lot more portable is the little tablet-looking thing that I have over here. So this is actually a small monitor, which I think was about $65 or so. And that is what I'm going to plan to affix to the side panel of the machine so that I can have it constantly plugged in. And if I am on the go, I don't have to carry a monitor around with me to be able to use. Now, this may pose some problems. I'm not sure how great of a gaming monitor it's going to be. It could be really slow, it could have a lot of input latency, and it could have, who knows, not a great frame rate, or it could jitter in weird ways, because it's pretty cheap. Now, I don't expect most of those problems to arise, but the input latency could be significant with it. We'll have to see. But I am planning to take this and mount it to the side. We'll see if I use these built-in mounting mechanisms here or not. I don't know whether I have screws that will really work with that. Might try that and some rubber feet kind of on the case side panel and try and just get a pressure fit there, or I might try some kind of other mounting mechanism, but it'll take some experimentation, but that's the beauty of these kind of DIY projects, I guess. So, all the components out of the way, I think I'm going to start doing test fitting on the power supply stuff, and I will catch you guys once I've kind of got a game plan ready to go here and I start building the system. Catch you in a bit. Alright, so you should be able to see here that pretty much no matter how far forward I bring this handle, it just isn't going to work with where this power supply sits. So I am going to have to do the bottom mounting method, which sucks a little bit because it means that I'm going to have to flip the machine over every time I have to carry it, but everything should be pretty well held in place in the machine once it's in there, so I'm hoping that that's not going to be too big of a pain for me, and I am going to go ahead and take the power supply out because I'm going to have to do some drilling on the case, obviously, to get this to work, but I'll have some shots of that process, getting the handle put in for you guys coming up next. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, the whole thing earlier about having a smaller power supply would just mean that I would potentially have some room up here, even if it was a little bit jankily mounted, to be able to fit this wood piece in there, kind of up top, so that I could, it would be trimmed from that, but so that I could have the handle still mounted on top. But this is what I could get a hold of, so this is how it's going to go. Okay, so I've got some pilot holes drilled into the case here, and I've gone ahead and cut off some pieces of this wood block with my Dremel, which you can see just did a spectacular job of cutting through this particular wood. It's singed, just a bit. And then I've made some pilot holes with my drill here as well, and the battery in this hasn't been charged in a while, so it was just about to give up there, getting these pilot holes drilled. I'm hoping that they're deep enough and that all of them are wide enough that I can manage to get the screws that I got with this handle to work, but we'll see. I'll start trying to get it installed now. Okay, I've got one side installed so far here, and so far it seems to be working fairly well, actually. I think that overall this was a decent idea. Now, these screws, they don't really go very far down when the, I don't know what you call this piece, but whatever it is, whenever it has these little teeth thing pointing out like this, I think it's built to work with like MDF or something softer than this metal case. They're supposed to like dig into the material, but being that this is metal, that didn't work so well. So the screw is just a bit too short otherwise, and all I did was I took and bent those little teeth outwards, and that has seemed to have solved that issue. This screw actually grabs the case metal pretty well without the wood piece down there, but I'm just going to keep it there for assurance, just for a little bit of extra grab. And I'm going to move on to the next one next. One more thing for anyone who might be interested, that pilot hole that I drilled actually did work out just fine. It's perfect in size for these screws to grab, but also be able to fit through the hole for. And the bit size that I used for that was 7/64 inches. Okay, quick note. Even though that first pilot hole that I made, which is the inner one here, actually does fit with the handle the way it is here, when you put the stop end on it, the inner one doesn't actually line up correctly, so I've had to go ahead and drill a second pilot hole. Luckily that won't be visible in the final product here, but for anyone who's following along and doing this at home, I thought you might be interested in that. Maybe you want to save the second pilot hole until just completely after you've installed the first side. Okay, handle is installed. Works just like a regular guitar amplifier handle. And you can pick it up like that, put it back down like that. So yeah, for carrying around purposes, this should be actually pretty good. I think it turned out pretty nice, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, I'm going to move on to preparing the side panel for this little monitor over here, and then after that we'll get to building a computer. Okay, so as suspected, these screws that get used for the handle install are just a little bit too big to go into the holes that are on the back of this little monitor. However, I have got some old screws just that I've had around forever that happen to have a Torx bit on the back that do work with those holes. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try and use these. They're a little bit narrower screws, so I've jumped down to a 3/32 size bit to do the pilot holes with, and I'm going to go ahead and try and do those now. I've got the marks laid out on the case here to try and do that. Looks like they might be a little bit wide. I'll narrow them up a bit. But then we will go ahead and try and get the screws in, cut off some more of this wood. Man, that's a pain, but I'm going to have to do it because these screws don't grab right up to the edge, so I'm going to have something reinforcing them in the back. I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have the display mounted here, but these screws in the back need to be held in place there a little bit better. You'll notice I had to relocate those holes a few times. No big deal, it's not visible from the outside, but you know, kind of the same deal where I made a judgment error and didn't do a great job, but at least it's minimal. It's going to be alright. I'm going to work on getting these screws fixed, though, so that this display has no chance of falling off of here, and hopefully figure out some kind of way to get it lined up a little bit better, because it's a little bit off-kilter right now. Alright, I've got these pieces cut in half fairly jankily. They're a bit long for the Dremel, so I had to resort to using my drill a bit. It was a mess. Probably not advisable for anyone else to do this. Get the right cutting equipment, please. But I made it this far with this method, so that's what I'm going to continue with, I guess. Next is going to be to drill some holes in the ends of these to go down onto the screws there. I will be back with you guys probably when I have the display completely mounted up here. Alright, I've got everything here mounted up. You can see I did go ahead and use those rubber feet in between here, and then I've got the wood pieces back here. Everything's a little bit janky and bodged, but you know, at the end of the day, it works. It really works. Like, I can do whatever I want as far as shaking this thing, and that screen is not coming off of there, which is, you know, really the point. So I am very happy with this. I think pretty much the rest of the build is kind of just building a computer at this point. So let's see, can I do this? Can I manage it? Probably not. Close enough. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the computer build off camera, and I will get back with you guys when I'm firing up the system for the first time. See you in a few. Okay guys, everything inside the machine should be good to go. I haven't turned it on yet. I'm not going to show you the inside. I did it a little bit rushed, and it's not the cleanest that it could be, but it should all be ready to go. So now, powering it off of the same outlet that I was powering my tools off of earlier, I'm going to go ahead and flip on this switch. I only have a keyboard hooked up right now, so I won't do the full install, but this should at least let us see that the machine's working if it is. So there's the supply flicked on, and then we hit the, I think this is the, no, the power button's on the front here. There, I can see that it's lit up inside, which means that I at least had the button correct for which one would be the power button. And we'll see if the display comes on here or not. Oh, right, there's a power button on the display that I need to hit. There we go. Please. Oh yeah, okay. So it has a fan alert on the BIOS, because this motherboard's really finicky about which fan it takes, and the one in this case it doesn't like. But if I hit F1 here, you'll see us hopefully go ahead and boot into the Windows installer. Yep, there we go. So I would call this project a success. I guess most of the sound is actually going to wind up having come from my phone instead of the recording setup stuff that I had earlier. I just figured it was going to be easier to show you guys what was going on if it was a little bit more up close and personal. So, sorry if the audio sucks. I hope that it doesn't. But I'm going to call this project done and a success for now. I'll clean up the cables and everything for it, and I'm going to start getting everything cleaned up from this project now. I think my friends have been waiting on me to play a game for a little bit. I'll probably hop on that first. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, which will probably be going over that server stuff. Alright, bye for now.